Saving America one entrepreneur at a time. It's the Biz Rap Podcast with your host, Michael Manahan. The show that celebrates small business and entrepreneurs. It's Biz Rap Radio with your host, small businessman, educator, and author, Michael Manahan. And welcome to another edition of Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan, and thank you so much for joining me today. Of course, Biz Rap Radio, the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. We're here to help you, the small business person, the entrepreneur, to run your business more effectively, make more money, raise the capital you need for your business. Whatever you're struggling with, we hope to be a resource to help you do a better job. And don't forget, we need you. America is all about entrepreneurships. Yes, it's entrepreneurs and small business people that create the new jobs. Most people in America are working for small businesses, and we are the resource that you need to go to help you with your business. Today, I've got on the line with me a friend, an associate, and a very interesting fellow. It's Shelley Kraft. Shelley, how are you?
Mike, it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, now, Shelley, you right now, in your current incarnation, if you will, you operate a couple of informational websites that help people who are looking to invest in what I would call small cap or small business opportunities, publicly traded small business opportunities. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those websites? Well, the key website is Stock News Now. That's STOCKNEWS now, NOW.com. And I would say that it's the foremost official microcap news source on the entire internet. We dedicated the entire website strictly to handle microcap companies. For the sake of the audience, the definition of microcap is a company with $300 million in market cap or less. Some people think it's less than $1 million. Some people think it's less than $5 million. But in reality, many of these companies started out as startups, as seed capital, friends and family, angel VC rounds. And today, many of them are flourishing publicly traded companies, but they're still microcaps, which makes them our cup of tea. Gotcha. Well, you know what I like about your website is if I am I have a brokerage account at a traditional brokerage firm, I don't know, Merrill Lynch or somebody along those lines, no one from Merrill Lynch will ever tell me about these very interesting, very exciting companies. I'll learn about these companies from Merrill Lynch after they become billion-dollar enterprises, and at that point in time, it's too late for me to get in on the ground floor and make the huge run-ups that the earlier stage investors are able to make. So this is an opportunity, if you're listening to us and you are a person who's putting money into the stock market, this is an opportunity to find about those companies that maybe 5-6 years from now will be the next Googles, the next Facebooks, the next Ubers and what have you. Those companies that exist, they're out there today, but they're kept hidden because the main if you will, Wall Street organization does not bring these companies to you for your attention. Am I correct in what I've just said, Shelley? You're 100% right. And it's not just Merrill, it's any firm. They not only, let's say, I'll give you a happenstance. Let's say, you found out about a terrific microcap company that you may know someone in it, a family member even, and you go to your broker and you say, I want to buy ABCD company. It's a microcap. I want to get it in my account. And they're going to say to you, are you crazy? We don't do that. We don't know this company. we can't. Why not? Wait, it's an oil company. Why don't you just buy Exxon? It's a biotech company. Why don't you just buy Amgen? What do you need these small little companies? So, I'm just taking it to a further level. Not only do they not recommend it, not only do they not want to talk about it, not only do they have no clue what's going on in the microcap market or in startups, but they're almost prevented from buying it for you by the compliance departments of these major firms.
Now, where does that start? Is this a plot by the big broker dealers?
No.
Or is this the SEC? Is this the SEC?
It's always great. You could always plot and all, but at the end of the day, the brokers at these large firms aren't brokers anymore. They're asset gatherers.
Uh-huh.
So they're looking for the highest net worth person they can find. They want to take your portfolio and they want to manage it. They want to give it to their management inside the firm to manage. And at the end of the day, if you make a couple of points on it, at least they made you some money, and they just want to come back and ask you for more. And in a bull market, you can make money by throwing a dart at stocks. Let's be honest. It's really when the market is volatile, when there's a lot of news that's negative, and you really need a good wirehouse broker to help you through your most important money, which is your future and your retirement money. What I always used to recommend when I was a broker on Wall Street was, look, if you're going to go into these risky stocks, because let's face it, microcaps are more risky than large caps. That's a fact. So if you're going to go into it, don't put your real money in it. Don't put your food and education for your kids and your mortgage money. That's not what you do. This is for the risk capital. This is the percentage of your portfolio that gives you an opportunity to have greater upside with more risk, but it should never be the large part of your investment portfolio, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So now you get down to it. Now here's your choices. Where do you go to find information about microcap stocks? What would your audience say? Where would they go? What would be some of their choices? Where specifically? They're going to be hard-pressed to find it.
Yeah, no idea. I'm sure most people wouldn't know where to go. You're certainly not going to find this in the local business section of your local newspaper.
No. The funny part is that when you go to Yahoo Finance, you virtually can find anything. But sometimes you have to go to OTCmarkets.com, which was the old Pink Sheets, and, it's the OTCQX and the OTCQB, to find out, some of the information. And that's a good website, by the way, for the audience, because you can find out details that aren't available on other websites. If they haven't reported their financials currently, if there's a stop sign or if there's a problem in buying and selling the shares, that's always a good stopgap to check right at the OTC markets, which is an ATS, an alternative trading system. And then, a lot of times, and a lot of people don't realize this. This is amazing, that microcap companies are also listed on the New York Stock Exchange, on NASDAQ, by definition, under 300 million. That makes it a microcap.
Right,
so,
right.
These are listed everywhere. And then, obviously, as you go lower and lower and lower, you get into the private companies, and then, you get into websites that can lead you into finding out about private companies that you can invest in. As a matter of fact, I'll give you another website that's a good one. Seedequity.com is a good one. So in terms of looking around for private companies, that's a private placement website, because a lot of people discuss crowdfunding and things of that variety. So to make a long story short, there's a lot of information out there. You have to be this. Part of what you do on the radio show is an education process, and that's really good for investors.
Okay, look at Shelley. We have covered a lot here, and we got about 30 seconds left before I have to go to commercial break. So I want to just give a little bit of that information again. StockNewsNow.com. That's where you can go to find out about microcap companies. We also mentioned seedequity.com, a place to go for companies looking for seed capital. We're going to talk about so much more about the public markets for small companies and about Shelley Kraft and his depth of experience on Wall Street over the years. And it's BizRap Radio, your host, Michael Manahan, and we'll be back right after these messages. And welcome back to BizRap Radio. I'm your host, Michael Manahan. We are the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. And right now we're talking with Shelley Kraft from StockNewsNow.com, and we're talking about microcap companies. These are small, publicly traded companies that most of you have probably never heard about. They're certainly not covered in the local business edition of your newspaper. Your stockbroker will probably never even mention these companies, but there are literally thousands of these small, publicly traded companies with typically market caps of under $300 million. They trade on various exchanges. Some are on what we call the OTC bulletin board. Some are on the American Stock Exchange. Some are on NASDAQ. But they don't get a lot of publicity. The brokers don't talk a lot about them, but a lot of them are real diamonds in the rough. These are companies that are going to be going places in the future. And if you want to get in on that particular market, if you're looking for something that's maybe a little riskier than investing in a Fortune 500 company, but also has a little more upside potential, this is a market you really want to look at. And Shelley, thanks for sticking with us for this segment of the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
Now, you mentioned the OTC. What is the website for the OTC that people can go to find out about some of these stocks?
OTCmarkets.com.
OTCmarkets.com. Now, if somebody wants to trade these particular stocks, can you do it through, like, if I had if I have an account at TD Ameritrade or Scottrade, am I able to trade these stocks through those kind of brokerage accounts?
Well, I think that for the sake of the audience, rather than using the word trade, I think we should use the word buy or sell. Because to me, trading means going in and out all the time and making a market in it. So I think what you're really asking is, can you buy and sell these stocks easily?
Yes.
And I think the best answer to that is you can. You just have to know where.
Right.
And I would definitely, there are certain firms that specialize in microcaps. Generally, they underwrite them, they make markets in them, and it's not an expensive proposition. It's probably even cheaper to go through a discount broker. But then, you might run into some, other costs based on the fact that it's not something that it's not like going out and buying IBM, so
right.
You may have some additional restrictions involved.
Well, I'm sure you could, if you have an account at Scottrade or TD Ameritrade, I'm sure certainly you could trade them there, and you can always call them and ask what's involved in trading these stocks. But one of the problems, Shelley, with microcap stocks is if I have a Fortune 500 company, I can find research. I can find these analysts who have produced publications that institutional investors use that analyze the market, analyze the competition. They analyze the most significant players in that marketplace. And therefore, I could read that and get a pretty good idea of where a company I'm interested in stands in the industry. So if I was interested, for instance, in let's say in the fast food business, there's research reports on the fast food industry, and I can look to see what the experts think of McDonald's or think of Burger King or think of Wendy's. But when we come to the microcap stocks, that same body of research doesn't exist. So if I see a company, I go to, let's say, StockNewsNow.com, and I see a microcap company that looks kind of interesting. what should I do as an investor in terms of my own kind of checking things out before I make that investment?
Boy, that's a great question. On Stock News Now, we have video interviews of almost 10,000 CEOs of microcap companies.
Wow, is it 10,000?
That's a lot. We have 10,000 videos in our library. We're linked to 453 websites. And the information that we have on Stock News Now has been described as the best due diligence website for microcap companies on the planet. And bankers use the website to research companies when they're dealing with a company that's trying to raise money through an investment bank. So they go to our website, they put into the search engine the name or the symbol of the stock or the sector that the stock is involved in, and they see all of the companies that we've interviewed with videos or that have press releases or who have a portfolio management side or are have Q&As, because what we do is we are engaged. We go to 50 different microcap conferences annually.
Wow, I didn't even know there was that many.
Interviews at every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these videos that we do, we send to the companies. We do them complimentary. We're an advertising revenue model. And the other product that we are really well known for is we actually publish the Microcap Review magazine, which is the #1 magazine in the microcap space. So that digital magazine is also on Stock News Now. So you can literally go and find out, you can find articles written on microcap companies. You can then go and see a video about the company whose article is in the magazine. You can read their press releases. If they have research, we will probably have it on our website. So we have microcap feeds. We only accept news on microcap companies. And then we have a pipe going out on microcap companies. So our information is disseminated throughout the internet, and we attract high net worth accredited investors. We attract investors. The street comes to the website. Media, professionals, lawyers, accountants, bankers. So there's a constant engagement between the industry, investors, companies, all throughout the industry on the website.
Well, then it sounds like Stock News Now is just an absolutely tremendous resource, and let's just recommend that to everybody out there who's listening. Look, if you're thinking of investing in some of these unknown stocks, the ones that aren't covered by the big Wall Street firms, don't be buying stock based on the recommendation from your brother-in-law's caddy down at the golf club. You want to do some research, some homework of your own. You go to stocknews.com now. StockNewsNow.com, and you can read up about the companies. You can watch videos. You can get links to other websites where there's coverage of these companies. And one nice thing about small companies is many of them, the CEOs and or executives of the company, are actually happy to talk to a potential investor and give you a few minutes. I mean, you could never get the CEO of General Motors on the phone, or GE, or some big corporation, or Facebook. You could never get those people on the phone to talk to them. But sometimes in these small companies, you can actually get maybe the CEO, maybe the CFO, maybe some senior vice president, somebody who's really there at the top level. Of course, they're not going to give you insider information, but they may very well answer some questions that you have about the company, and they'll certainly be able to direct you to information on the company and probably give you their story as to why they think that their company is going to increase in value and earn a good return for investors. So that's something else not to forget. But of course, Shelley, you're talking to the CEOs of these companies every day of the week.
Literally. And another word of advice is don't jump in. Don't jump in. This is an educational process. I used to recommend, put together a portfolio based on the companies that you might like. Put a portfolio, look at and see what it does, and if you want to, dip a toe in the water, start, accumulating some of the companies that might be outstanding, like technology. You look at technology. There's water treatment companies. There's alternative energy. There's green energy. There's magnificent technology. The companies starting in biotech and pharma are just amazing. Regenerative medicine. When I interview some of these CEOs, I listen to, the first thing I normally ask is, give me an overview of the company. And when I hear the overview, I go, oh my goodness, that's wow. And then I go right into asking questions that I think our investor audience would be interested in knowing.
Hey, Shelley, I got to interrupt you. We're at the end of this segment. We got to go for commercial break. I'm on with Shelley Kraft, stocknewsnow.com. Check it out. Michael Manahan, your host, BizRap Radio. We'll be right back. And welcome back to BizRap Radio. Your host, Michael Manahan. We are the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. And, a lot of the people who listen to our show are either privately held companies or they're small publicly traded companies. And today we're exploring that world of small publicly traded companies. We call it the micro cap market. These are companies with market caps of less than $300 million, but they are publicly traded. You can buy their stocks. You can make money on their stocks. You might even want to take your own company public and be a micro-cap publicly traded company, but you're never going to hear about these companies from the main Wall Street firms. You're never going to get a call from your regular stockbroker who's going to say, hey, you should really look about investing in these companies. This is an arena where you've got to do your own homework, your own due diligence. You got to investigate these companies for yourself, and when you're satisfied that you think the company's got a good story, that the company's got a market potential for its product, that you can see growth in the future of this company, then you can ease in and buy some of the stock. And, of course, the place to go to find out information on these companies is stocknewsnow.com. And I've got the man behind stocknewsnow.com, Shelley Kraft. He's on the line with us. Shelley, thanks for sticking with us on the show.
Well, my pleasure.
This whole, I'm sure you're going to try to avoid this subject a little bit because, for a host of reasons, but I'm not going to avoid it because I can be a little controversial at times, and I'm not a huge fan of some of the things that our government does. But it seems to me I've been playing in the public arenas, most of my career, and I'm closing in on 60 years of age, so that's an awful long time. A lot of the companies I've worked with over the years, small cap, micro cap companies, it seems to me it's just become increasingly difficult for small companies to generate the capital they need to grow and expand. I think that's one of the reasons why we've been so sluggish coming out of this recession that we're in, because the small cap companies, these entrepreneurial companies that create jobs, can't get the capital they need. And I put the fault directly in the hands of our federal government, who in my mind has done everything and anything it can over the last 25 years to shut down the capital markets that historically have fueled small entrepreneurial companies. Agree or disagree?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to disagree. Because I think that the world of micro-cap companies has expanded. It wasn't always 10,000 companies. That's not something that should be sneezed at. That's a big number. when I first started on Wall Street back in 1984, there was just a little old Pink Sheets. So it's hard to categorize good, bad, or indifferent when now we're dealing in the, we have the Internet, we have all kinds of information out there on companies that was never out there before. It's more transparent than it's ever been. You have broker-dealers have to abide by everything from the Dodd-Frank Act bill to the private, equity market compliance and the Jobs Act. I mean, there's both more compliance and yet there's more ability for companies to raise money. But I think one of the most important facts is that small and micro-cap companies just can't borrow money from the bank. That's not happening. Where, small cap, mid cap, and large cap companies, they can borrow. That's why there's more of an influence on those companies regarding interest rates.
Right.
So in other words, we look at micro cap companies separate from the small cap, mid cap, and large cap because they act differently. There's a different audience.
Sure.
The methodology of raising money for them is, a lot of it is alternative. It's mostly private placements. It's pipes, private investment in a public entity. There's so many different ways today of raising money. 506c, general solicitation, non-recourse. Now you can advertise to raise money for companies. You couldn't do that.
Right.
So that's all been a result of the Jobs Act. There are efforts in Washington currently to change the tick size rules. So there's because a lot of the market makers had to leave the business because they took out the profitability. So now there's a movement afoot to put the profitability back into trading so that there's more liquidity in the microcap markets. So I wouldn't rule against. I think the government is doing what they can. Remember, it's a bureaucracy.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
well,
and FINRA.
It just seems to me. Let me just cut in because it just seems to me this is a government that says, "Hey, we're gonna make it really, really difficult for you to buy these small stocks because they're too risky. But what we'd really like you to do is buy our lottery tickets because that's a sure thing. Look at if you're on welfare, we want you lining up at the local liquor store to spend your money on lottery tickets." I mean, that seems to be what we're getting from the government, and frankly, I think that's just a wrong message the government gives. Hey, investing in companies that actually do business and provide products and services that are needed in the community, that's risky. But what we really need you to do is go down to the liquor store and buy those lottery tickets. That's my take on it anyway.
Well, what can I say? I mean, it's they have to support certain educational and there's an additional quality of life with the money that they do raise for certain individuals, and it takes the burden off of the government paying it directly. So they turn it into a lottery. I mean, what are you going to do? But I think that from an investor standpoint, there is a great degree of risk in going into the lower-priced emerging, growth companies. But getting back to it, I don't think that investors should be, you said earlier, investors can make money in the stock market in microcap companies. At the same time, they could lose money. So we always used to say, be careful. This has got to be discretionary income. This is money that, it's not buying baby formula. But, if you are interested in becoming an investor and you're trying to buy, a company that you can put your hands on and own a few shares, you really have to go to the low-price stocks.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do? Buy 100 shares of Google? That's a lot of money.
Right.
But,
right.
you can do some research now. You can go to the websites out there, and we like to think that Stock News Now is the one to go to. You go to Stock News Now, you research it. You're going to How would you like to watch a video of a company CEO that's being interviewed by me, asking him poignant questions about, so, what does your company do? What kind of market share do you have? Why do you think there's growth in this company? Well, how do you compare yourself to your competitors? These are compelling questions. And there's the CEO with his blue eyes or his curly hair, and he's looking directly into the camera and he's talking to you directly. Well, you know what? You get to see what this person's made of, really. And you see what kind of a presentation he makes. And you can almost judge as to whether or not he's believable. Mm-hmm. You know, it's really difficult to even find that in mid-cap and large caps to a large extent. And we just went for it. We just said, you know, we're going to be the micro-cap website. We're going to interview micro-cap CEOs, have stories on them, research on them, give you price quotes. We even carry only the micro-cap company indexes. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a heck of a resource, stocknewsnow.com. And I really like the idea of those interviews, because you're right. When you see somebody on on video, and you can see, I mean, it's there's thing about humans. When we look at somebody else in the face, we can get a feel as to whether the person is competent, capable, sincere, and what have you. And one of the big issues I always have with the major news stations like CNN and Fox Business and all the rest of the stuff is you see the CEOs after they've already made $1 billion. I want to see the guys before they've made $1 billion. But look at Shelley. We're coming up to the end of another segment. This is really interesting stuff. I'm having so much fun talking with you. At Mike Manahan, BizRap Radio, I'm on with Shelley Kraft, StockNewsNow.com, talking about the microcap stock market. We will be back right after these messages. And we're back with BizRap Radio, your host, Michael Manahan. We are on with Shelley Kraft talking about microcap stocks. And Shelley's behind StockNewsNow.com. It is your resource for information on these microcap companies. These are companies with market caps under $300 million. You're not going to hear about them from your favorite stockbroker. You're probably not going to see them written up on the business section of your local newspaper. They're not going to be covered on CNN or MSNBC or Fox Business, but they are covered on StockNewsNow.com. And if you invest in these companies, if you're thinking about it, there is an opportunity to get in on a company before it becomes that billion-dollar enterprise. And we're here with Shelley. And Shelley, thanks for sticking with us for the final segment of the show.
I'm enjoying it.
Now, you were saying just after we went to commercial break there that you had an interesting story you wanted to tell, so I'm all ears.
So a lot of times when I interview a CEO, they're so impressive, you know. A lot of them are PhDs. Other ones might have had, you know, so much experience in the market. And one time I was interviewing a CEO, and I asked him what his background was, and he, without skipping a beat, said, you know, Shelley, I'm a serial entrepreneur. And I just, you know, I realized that many of these CEOs have had successes and, by the way, some failures in walking up the ladder to get even to the point where they've got a microcap company, let's say, doing 10, 15 million in revenue and with a decent market cap in the microcap market. These are serial entrepreneurs. These are people, sometimes they've gone from a giant company. You know, they once were working at Exxon, and now they're running an oil exploration company in the Bakken. You know, you just don't know what their backgrounds are, or what's the story behind how they developed a biotech molecule, and it might be because, you know, one of their parents suffered from an orphan disease, and they dedicated their career in college and in postgraduate work to develop a molecule. And now they're getting ready to go into trials with the FDA, and they're going to come out, and ultimately they're going to develop a drug to treat a certain ailment. And you listen to these stories, and you say to yourself, man, where would we be without these CEOs? Where would we be without these entrepreneurs? This is where the growth of America is coming from. This is where the talent lies in developing so many of these new technologies. And I love it. To me, it's a rich reward to meet these CEOs and give them an opportunity to be seen by investors across the globe.
Well, now you do something else, Shelley. You organize a conference every year in Las Vegas.
That's right.
That a lot of these microcap companies come to, and it's an opportunity where investors can actually go around and speak with representatives of the company. Tell us a little bit about that show. When is it? What's the format? How much does it cost? All the good details on it.
I'll give you the website. It's Growth Capital Expo, and it's up and running right now. The website. It's a networking frenzy. It's investors meeting the Wall Street and investors meeting the CEOs of microcap companies. It could be any sector, from technology, oil and gas, biotech. It doesn't matter. We have them all. And we've even had cannabis companies at the last conference, plenty of them. So, you never know what you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to meet. And it's an opportunity it's an educational process. Companies get up and present in front of investor audiences. And then there's panels to learn about different kinds of investment opportunities. It's a never-ending networking event. That's all I could say. It's April 12th to April 14th in Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Not a bad place to go to learn about anything.
How many companies would typically come to this kind of an event?
Last year, we had 45 companies. It was sponsored by 30 other companies, and we also had sponsorship from the Swiss government. It was unique. We also, by the way, have information on Growth Capital Expo on Stock News Now, so it's all available on the website.
And is there an entrance fee to get into the show?
There is an entrance fee. It varies according to what a person is, if they're a professional, an investor, an accredited investor. So I just send everybody to the website to look through it and make their own decisions as to whether or not they'd like to attend.
Gotcha. And what are those dates again?
April 12th to April 14th. It starts out, I'll give you it's pretty interesting. We do an IPO boot camp on opening day on the 12th, and that's like a lot of private companies looking to go public and some young companies who are public get to mingle and listen to service providers, law firms, accounting firms, transfer agents, and Edgar agents, all discuss the nuances of a new company going public, and they learn, everything from how much it costs to what they have to do to file on time. So that's the first day. And then the rest of the conference is the networking, one-on-ones. Sometimes you can literally have a one-on-one meeting with the CEO of a micro-cap company, and they're really happy to meet you.
This sounds great. So it sounds like it's growthcapitalexpo.com. It sounds like This is, if somebody's interested in taking their company public, this would be a great venue for you. If you're an investor and you're looking to invest in some of these early stage or some of these microcap companies, it would be a great venue for you. And what a better way to spend a couple of days in Las Vegas than checking out investment opportunities, talking to the CEOs of various companies. So go to growthcapitalexpo.com and check that out. Hopefully we'll see you in Vegas. I'm looking forward. I want to come out to this show, Shelley. I hope I'm invited.
You are. You know what they say, that when you go to these kinds of conferences, there's many. This one obviously is my favorite. But to make a long story short, what entrepreneurs and what CEOs of microcap companies look for when they come to these conferences is the one person who's going to write them the amount of money they need to get to the next level in their company.
Mm-hmm.
The investors are looking to find the company that they want to invest in. And how about that? You go to Stock News Now, you look at a video, you read the research, you find out all of the news because, we're the official news, the official microcap news source. So you now can do all your research ahead of time, watch the videos, read the magazine, and you culminate your activity by coming to the conference and personally meeting the CEO of the company you're interested in or following or have already invested in. How could you beat that?
Yeah, that is just tremendous. And, I've attended financial conferences for many, many years, and I just find them so much fun. It's so great to talk to the somebody who's running their business, and particularly if these smaller companies, because the people who run these small companies tend to be so passionate about what they're doing. It's not like they've just gone out and taken a job. They are actually part of creating something, and you can see it in their eyes and in their voice. They're Pied Pipers. They really believe that they can change the world. And most of them, by the way, are not out there thinking, hey, I'm going to make $1 billion. They really are thinking, I am going to change the world. I can make a difference in the way people do things. I can serve people better. I can help people more. I can produce something that people will value more. And it's without those kind of people in our world, we would certainly not be the place that we are. It's just amazing.
I'm going to leave your audience with something very important when they're analyzing a microcap company. I created something called PVC, and it's not polyvinyl chloride. It stands for passion, vision, and capability. That's passion, vision, and capability. If you have a CEO that demonstrates those three qualities, at the end of the day, you're going to label him an A-plus leader, an A-plus CEO.
Well, that is wonderful advice. Okay, it is Shelley Kraft, growthcapitalexpo.com, stocknewsnow.com. Check them out. I am your host, Michael Manahan. It's BizRap Radio, fixing America through individual economic freedom. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week with another edition.